It seems like whenever someone tries their hand at reforming English spelling, one of the first things they do is drop the letter C from the alphabet, but I don't agree with any of the reasoning behind that. I think the letter C belongs in the English alphabet, and in this video I'm going to argue on its behalf. My first point is that the letter C isn't actually redundant, or at least it's not any more redundant than the letter K. People think it's redundant because they look at it and they see that it makes an S sound and it makes a K sound, and so they go, oh, it's pointless. We already have two letters making the sound, so let's get rid of it. But I think that is skipping a step. I do agree that the letter C ideally should not be making an S sound, but after you take away that sound from it, then we're left with it making a K sound, and then at that point it is no more redundant than the letter K. So why not get rid of the letter K instead? The letter K isn't any more deserving of this K sound than the letter C is, and really from an English perspective, the letter C is kind of more deserving because it's the original English. Well, I mean, if you don't count the rune that made a K sound, it is the original English K letter, because in Old English they used to write words like king with the letter C. So yeah, K is really, I would say, the redundant one. So get rid of K. Or maybe even better, don't get rid of either of them, because really the problem with English spelling isn't that it's not 100% logical. Learning 40 rules in the process of learning how to write the spelling of a language really isn't that much harder than learning 20 rules. The problem with English spelling isn't that we have some strange situations where the letter K makes the K sound before, the letter E and the letter I, and then the letter C makes the K sound before the letters like O and A, right? That's really not that complicated. The human brain is very good at adapting to these kinds of patterns. That's really not a big deal. The problem with English spelling are like the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of strange little exceptions to the rules. That is what's wrong with English spelling. There's nothing really harmful about having, the letter X, because it's really obvious how to use it. There's nothing complicated about using the letter C in this situation and then using the letter K in this situation. So I disagree with that whole thinking in the first place, the idea that we need to make it completely logical. And something I've noticed is if you try to make English spelling completely logical, it ends up being really ugly. Of course, that's subjective, but yeah. Another thing I disagree with is people seem to have this idea that the letter C is an un-Germanic letter, like it's some sort of weird thing and the other Germanic languages are right to have never used it. But, that's not the case. The other Germanic languages used to use the letter C. For example, here in Old Norse, they use the letter C here in the word folk. And if you look at the other Germanic languages like Old High German and whatnot, they used to use the letter C fairly often. It's more of a recent thing where they stopped using it as much. I don't even know where this idea comes from that a Germanic language shouldn't have some spelling conventions that set it apart from the other ones. Don't all Germanic languages more or less have a few quirks? Like the Germans have their est set. No other Germanic language has that. So is that a bad thing? Do they need to get rid of it? Do the Icelanders need to stop using the acute accent? Do they need to swap over to using dots? I don't think so. What's wrong with English having the letter C make a K sound? And we kind of need the letter C for the ch sound. So even if we wanted to get rid of it, there's not even really a clean way to get rid of it. How are you going to make the ch sound? Are you going to do KH or something? That wouldn't be right. That'd be pretty weird.